So yeah, we're just gonna go over these scores. We're gonna talk more about our teams, obviously, but the Raiders did get a massive win on Thursday, 63-21 over the Chargers. Uh, Saturday, the Bengals beat the Vikings 27-24 in overtime. The Colts beat the Steelers 30-13, and the Lions beat the Broncos 42-17. We move on to Sunday. The Saints beat the Giants 24-6. The Chiefs outlast the Patriots 27-17.
Tony's god awful, by the way. Like,
Yeah,
I don't know why they picked him up.
that looks more and more like an L every game they play.
Yep.
That trade. The Buccaneers beat the Packers 34-20. The Dolphins all over the Jets 30-0. The Texans in overtime get the win over the Titans 19-16. The Panthers with the upset 9-7 over the Atlanta Falcons. God, I do not like Arthur Smith. Screw that guy. Browns over the Bears 20-17. Uh, the Bears really they,
Yeah, they
they
gave
they
him a
had a
brain.
chance, man.
Yeah, they
There's a
had it.
couple of plays, including the Hail Mary, was in Dude's hands, but
In
couldn't hang on.
the Joe Flacco's Brown era, he is still undefeated.
Yeah, it wasn't pretty though, but he gets the job done again for the Browns. The Rams beat the Commanders 28-20. We'll talk about it a little bit later, but the 49ers all over the Cardinals 45-29. The Bills get the win over the Dallas Fraud Boys 31-10. And the Ravens on Sunday Night Football beat Jacksonville 23-7. And your Monday night game is the Eagles playing in Seattle. That game is underway, and it is 7-0 as we stand at the moment.
7-0
So
Eagles.
Eagles are up, correct. So there we are. We have shared the scores. We're not sharing anymore. See our beautiful faces. Sam, your game was first. Let's talk about your game. The Raiders absolutely handing it to the Chargers
It
to the
was
63-21. That's a record for the franchise. They've never scored 63 in a game before.
it
Christmas came
was
early.
it was absolutely hilarious. I'm with Julia here watching it on our home screen, and we're watching it, and the Raiders are just scoring all these touchdowns. And after the third one, I'm just kind of laughing, like, wow, like this is insane. We might put up 40, and then it was like 40 at halftime. And then it was, you know, can we get to 70? Go for it. So I was kind of with Antonio Pierce to just throttle, just put the gas on him, as he said going into halftime. You know, I I thought he summed it up perfectly at the end of the game when the reporters were asking Antonio Pierce about going for 70, because you could see that they were they were going for it. And he goes, we've been on both sides of history. Last week we didn't score any points. I'm not going to tell these guys to not score points. Like they need to feel that too. And
Yeah.
I actually just thought that was great. Is that under a AP team, you're just going to have a team that's after it at all times. That's just going for it at all times, because that's his personality. And I think it's that the effort, that effort shows up week to week. I think with that much effort you put into an NFL game, because I think we could all agree the Raider games, since he's taken over, the effort just seems on a whole other plateau, not a level, like just a whole new standard of effort. And I didn't see that under the Josh McDaniels teams. So I see the effort, I see the camaraderie, the togetherness. He's really bringing them together.
And you're scoring
Um,
31 and a half points on average over the last 2 weeks, too.
Yep.
right. So there we go. Um, so I just think that, finally they're playing for one another. They're technically not eliminated from the playoffs. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, but they're working towards something. They're building towards something. And just imagine if this team did get in somehow, they could be a problem for some teams that thought they were going to make it to the AFC. They're like cockroaches now. It's going to be hard to beat them, because even though they did put up that donut last week, and that was embarrassing. That defense showed up. That defense only allowed 3.
Yeah.
So, and it's no longer the Max Crosby show. You have guys stepping up. So now the defense is becoming an ensemble, and the offense really needs a quarterback that can execute. And we're seeing Aiden O'Connell starting to execute because there's already an ensemble there on offense. It was just having the right guy pull the strings and executing an offense and getting rid of Josh McDaniels. It's all it took, guys. It's all it took. I think from here on out, what I hope to see is just stay competitive, stay disciplined. You never know what's going to happen. Try to keep winning. It'd be great to throw a wrench into the Patrick Mahomes Kansas City Chiefs next week. It's going to be a very tough win to get that W. But what I'm hoping for is just to be competitive and give them your best shot. And you never know what's going to happen. They've been looking pretty vulnerable over the past few weeks. So I just really love the energy that Antonio Pierce gives. And every week, it just, even after a loss, I was like, I'll still run through a brick wall for you, coach. You know, we're seeing change in the Raiders organization that we should have got under Josh McDaniels, and it never came to fruition. So I don't know. You don't want to make the decision too early, but it seems like the team is really motivated behind this coach. And if not for this package deal, then Champ Kelly was going to get the job. So I think you're probably looking at the future general manager of the Raiders. I don't know if it's going to be the head coach. I think that will still play out, but I think Champ Kelly is going to become the GM. I do think that.
Okay.
Okay, so let's hop over to the 49ers. They absolutely handled business against the Cardinals 45-29 in Arizona. So that takes care of the 4th game of 5 in a row against bird teams. They're 4-0 so far. So got the Ravens next week. Close out the bird portion of the schedule until playoffs time. And I think the team obviously looked great. Christian McCaffrey is otherworldly. Brock Purdy is now the front runner to win the MVP. And it might be kind of nice if both of them kind of split the award, like they get named co-MVPs at this point. But I think I don't think that would happen because they would almost split the vote and then somebody else might sneak in if that were to happen. But so I think Christian McCaffrey gets your offensive player of the year, and then Brock Purdy ends up with the MVP. And both of them are very deserving of that. Brock Purdy is still averaging, I think it's 9.9 yards per attempt, which is that's unheard of. That does. Peyton Manning didn't do that in his MVP seasons. Tom Brady didn't do that in his MVP seasons. This is ungodly numbers that Brock Purdy is putting up. And I'm just glad it's happening for me. I'm thrilled. The one concern that you could kind of have about this game is Arizona was able to rush the ball fairly effectively. But I'm going to chalk that up to missing your top 2 interior linemen. Not having Javon Hargrave in there definitely hurt that. And so you were stepping.
Wait, you're saying the 49ers didn't get to Murray. That's what you're saying.
Not nearly as much as I would have liked.
Okay. But okay, so the 49ers interior defense against the rush was not great, is what you're saying.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
Against the rush.
I thought you had said the other way around that the Cardinals rush was getting to Purdy. I was like,
No.
Okay.
So yeah, I just I'm gonna chalk that up to just not having your top 2 defensive linemen, and so that'll get fixed. When they come
I
back.
agree with you, Vince. I agree with you 100% that Purdy or CMC is probably gonna be your MVPs. But I heard a great topic of debate, and I just want to bring it up to you and see what you think.
Okay.
Some people say that oh my God, I'm dropped like his name right now, but in Baltimore, their QB, Lamar Jackson
Yes.
could be a good contention for MVP. And the
Yep.
reason of the argument is because he is the reason that team is so successful right now. Whereas the 49ers have two guys that if one went down or one or the other, you have
Tom
two
Brady
MVPs.
got an MVP when Randy Moss was catching 23 touchdowns from him. You know,
Yeah.
like we've seen massive performances. Guys are like guys that win the MVP. They're able like they win the MVP because the team is really good around them and they make a lot of noise. Nobody wins the MVP that has a team that went 7-9 or 8-8.
I do think a running back and a wide receiver is a different story though, because
No.
a running back doesn't. I mean, a wide receiver needs the ball thrown to them more often than not, right?
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's still LaDainian Tomlinson, I guess, would be like the last guy probably.
Yeah.
And Christian McCaffrey is definitely doing those kind of numbers that LT was doing. I don't remember which ones off the top of my head, but I looked them up and it was pretty impressive comparing them. That being said, I think the NFL has moved on to a point where it's the quarterback gets the MVP no matter what, and just because
Because of the position.
Christian is a running
Yeah.
back, that's more of a offensive weapon, is offensive player of the year. That's more of an offensive weapon category.
Sure.
And MVP is a quarterback category.
Yeah.
So,
I agree with you. I
think
that's
that was
a
kinda where
great
it is.
debate topic though.
Oh, absolutely. And I would not be upset if I was wrong and Christian McCaffrey ends up winning the MVP. Don't get me wrong. Don't hear what I'm not saying. Okay.
Sure, sure.
It would be quite a story, wouldn't it? Could be fun. A lot of debate topics.
Yeah, of course. Of
and
course.
it's fun. Yeah. I'm loving life as a Niners fan right now. This is great. We got on Christmas Day, playing Baltimore, and that's your Monday night game next week. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm super excited. This is basically the last like major game the Niners have, because you got the Rams and the Commanders after, and the Rams are a fairly good team, you know, but the Commanders are dog shit, man. They're gonna absolutely dog walk the Commanders. And the Rams is gonna be a fun matchup. They played us pretty close at the beginning of the year, and it's and I think the Rams will probably be playing for a playoff spot at that point. So assuming that they win the next couple of games before we play.
The Rams are going to be tough, but also I think Philadelphia will be, if both teams win out, you know, that final game for the 49ers is going to have to be a pretty competitive game. It's not going to be like they're going to throw in, we'll settle for the number 2 seed. If that number 1 seed is on the line.
Yeah, and with the number 1 seed now being the only one that gets a bye, that actually
exactly.
This is what the NFL was hoping for, was for the really good teams to leave their really good players in a little bit longer in the game,
right?
Yeah,
you know, and if everything lines up the way we think it will, then that's exactly what the NFL wants, and it's what they get. So
sure,
yeah, this is it's great for the people that are foolishly still having their playoffs in the last week of the season. We stop ours a little bit short. Also between us, your boys, out of the 3 of us, I already win. And then
I don't know how you won this
I'll be
week,
choosing
by
the
way.
movie. Oh, it definitely counts.
I don't know how you won this week, by the way.
Oh yeah, no, that
like
was a
the
miracle.
skin of
I
your
got
teeth.
Brock Purdy'd and James Cooked, and I still win by like a quarter of a point. It's
Impressive.
absolutely wild. Astonishing.
Yeah, I agree.
So
well, that being said, I don't know what movies you're gonna pick, but
yeah, to be determined. We still got time. Cool. We got to figure out who's buying the ticket and who's buying the snacks. So
I got a phone call before the show, and it was from Drew, and he, you know, just asked me some random questions. Then he goes, "Hey, by the way, did you see I'm not in last place?" And I go, "Yeah, but you're also not in the playoffs." He goes, "Hey man, it's milestones. I'm just not in last place anymore."
Well, I mean, he could still lose 2 games and finish in last. So.
That's true. But
yeah,
as the season concluded, he was not in last.
Right.
This is officially the worst I've ever finished in any fantasy league ever in my life. I've never not made the playoffs, seriously. This is like the first time I've not made the playoffs, and it's a mind fuck. Like,
You're literally that meme of the guy that's just staring at the empty swing set and then like staring at the wall, and yeah.
Well,
All right.
I'm watching this game here. It looks like the Seahawks are very undisciplined. This is another false start penalty on them.
Yeah.
So
In their own
good.
house too.
Exactly.
Okay, so we do got some news and notes about the NFL to talk about real quick. After the Raiders put the smackdown on the Chargers turn around and fire their head coach Brandon Staley
yes,
and their GM Tom Telesco.
The autumn wind is a Raider.
Sam, I want to note that Sam predicted this last week, by the way. He did say it would be so sweet if the Raiders are the reason why they get fired.
Yeah, no,
Oh,
yeah.
man.
I'll
That's
give you
why
credit for that.
That's why I was laughing, dude. Like, we were laughing. So halftime rolls around, and I'm like, babe, it's 42-0. Oh my God. I haven't seen a win like this in 25 years.
That's
Like,
it. The
like,
Chargers
I haven't
quit
seen
on him.
haven't seen a dominant Raider win in like 25 years, to be honest. Like, I can't even tell you the last time that I, it's been so far few between. So at halftime, Patrick Sherman is on the halftime show.
Richard Sherman.
And he goes, man, get the Uber XL. Fire this guy, have him picked up at the stadium, get rid of him. And Julia was laughing her butt off, man. And then the next day when he was let go, we were talking about it on the phone. She was like, hey, they fired that coach. So even she knew about it, but it was so good as a Raider fan to finally get a win and be the reason that the Chargers are in turmoil all over again.
Well, they did announce their interim head coach. So they have Gift Smith and then their new GM, interim GM, JoJo Wooden. I know nothing about them. So, all power to you for these next 3 games here. That's all I can say.
Good luck. Okay, another thing that they announced is Super Bowl 61 will be held in Los Angeles in 2027. So just to recap your upcoming Super Bowls, this year, this next one coming up in 2024 is in Las Vegas. New Orleans has 2025. Santa Clara will be hosting Super Bowl 60 in 2026, and now Los Angeles after that. So nice. Super Bowl is kind of hanging out west for the most part. A little detour into the south for New Orleans, but staying out west for 3 of the next 4. So that's fun.
Good to know.
I think Las Vegas and New Orleans will definitely be part of the rotation.
I think so, and this is LA being part of the rotation as well. Yeah. And this is the second time that Santa Clara is hosting a Super Bowl. Yep. So maybe they're like not in a full rotation, but they're they're getting the chance to host it.
What year
and also
did Levi's get it the first time?
Their inaugural season.
It was Super Bowl 50, so 10 years. It'll be 10 years between the two of them. In 2016 was the year that the Santa Clara hosted it.
That ain't bad.
So, yeah. Every 10 years, get the big game heading your way. That's I think that's part of a rotation at this point.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah,
I'd say so.
And now we don't have to pretend that the Raiders are at all involved in Super Bowl hosting duties in Santa Clara like they did in 2016.
That's
they were like the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area, where like everything was happening in San Francisco and then the Santa Clara, but they're like, oh, here's the Raiders trophies too. Now it's like, the Raiders do the Las Vegas thing. The Niners have the Bay Area to themselves basically for hosting duties. So yeah, we're not pretending, I guess is what I'm getting at there.
Yeah, for sure.